I loved my first playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima, but if I had known all of these tips and tricks when I first started playing, I would have had even more fun. For example, did you know you can actually light pampas grass on fire with a fire arrow? So yes, once you unlock the firecracker upgrade for the wind chime ghost skill, you can lure a group of enemies into the grass and ignite them all at once. And you know how Jin will get out of breath and start walking slowly if you sprint too long? Well, if you just tap dodge when that happens, you can immediately go back to sprinting. Of course, exploring on your horse is faster, but when you're on foot, this sprint reset trick is super handy. There's also a bunch of settings you're going to want to consider adjusting, like turning on Enable Armor loadouts in the Gameplay tab of the Options menu. This lets you equip the same charm on as many outfits as you want, so you don't have to keep moving them between outfits. Plus, it actually also remembers which mask and helmet or headband you choose for a loadout, so you can set everything up just how you like for each outfit loadout and quickly switch between them. But let's check out some more useful quality of life tips. Similar to that dodge to reset Jin's sprinting trick, you can also cross deep rivers and ponds way faster than swimming by using the Dance of Wrath mythic ability. This is totally an ability you'll want to focus on getting quickly anyway once you enter the Act 2 region because it's super strong in combat. But this traversal trick is a nice bonus and you won't burn resolve when using it outside of combat like this. Shout out to my editor Ali for showing me that one. You've probably already figured out that these golden birds will show up and lead you to nearby points of interest and items, but there are some other flying creatures that give you hints as well. If you see these black swarms of birds in the sky, they're actually flying above a haiku spot, so you can follow those to compose a haiku and grab yourself a new headband. They're a bit more subtle, but you may also come across swarms of fireflies or butterflies, which indicate a new vanity item like a new look for your swords is nearby. Of course, you can also get your own little firefly companion that will help you detect these items by equipping the Traveler's Attire. Now, I'm sure you've already discovered following the foxes to Inari shrines, but keep in mind that if they're still around when you finish honoring the shrine, you can pet them as well. But speaking of Inari shrines, you actually don't want to stop doing them once you unlock all your minor charm slots. If you grab just 4 more, so 20 in total, you'll get the charm of Inari's Might, which is one of the better minor ones in the game as it boosts both your health and melee damage. But it gets better. If you do 4 more after that, so 24 in total, you'll get the charm of Silence, which makes it harder for enemies to detect you and boosts your resolve gains. But you still don't want to stop honoring shrines because if you continue, you'll alternate between upgrading these 2 charms up to 3 times each. And when they're fully upgraded, they're really good. We mentioned how good the gold charms of Okinanushi and Inari are in my mistakes video, but it's smart to do a few other Shinto shrines early as well. One of my favorite charms, and arguably one of the best in the game, is the charm of Mizu no Kami, which increases the timing window on parries, perfect parries, and perfect dodges. You can get it by completing the Spring Falls shrine right over here. All the Shinto shrines are just climbing puzzles, so they're really easy to complete, and each one rewards you with a gold charm. I also want to show you how to get some of the resources you're probably finding you run low on. Silk is required for higher level outfit upgrades, and it becomes quite limited. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's still impossible to get enough silk for all the outfit upgrades in one playthrough, but we're in luck, because there's a way to farm it infinitely. In the Yagata forest right here on the map, there's a small campsite where you'll find a piece of silk on the ground. To loot it infinitely, first make a manual save of your game, and then exit to the title menu. Then hit continue to load back into the game and go ahead and loot the silk as well as the piece of leather nearby. Of course, you can now see the inventory count for these items each increase by 1. So now open the options menu and choose restart from last checkpoint. You'll load back into the campsite and both the silk and leather will be there again for you to loot. So just keep looting them and restarting from the last checkpoint until you have enough. If you check your inventory, you'll see that the counts are indeed increasing each time. But when you're done, it's really important that you don't loot the silk and leather again. Make sure they're on the ground before you leave the campsite to ensure this trick remains possible on your current save. If you leave while they're gone, you won't be able to use this trick anymore. Similarly, if you're short on linen, there's a spot to farm it from in this small village just west of the Golden Temple. Just head into this building and there will always be 2 linen on the shelves you can loot with the reload trick. I've verified these tricks work on the current patches for both PlayStation and PC, and I'll update the pinned comment below this video if that changes. And my friends Jeff Wayne and Unleash the Goof also confirmed this can work for some other resources at other campsites, so it's worth giving it a try for other things you might be running running low on. For iron and steel, right after you complete Act 1 by reaching Castle Kaneda, there's going to be a bunch of villages and farms occupied by the Mongols that pop up on the map. Liberating many of these will reward you with steel, or another valuable resource, and while you're liberating them, you'll find even more steel and tons of iron and other resources scattered around to loot. Once you get into the Act 2 region, there's also a secret stash in a seaside cave down here near the Cloud Ridge Shrine. You have to do just a little bit of swimming to get to it, but it's well worth it, because in addition to some iron and steel, you'll get a bunch of other resources. And there's also a duel outside the cave that I won't spoil. Gold is a little harder to come by, but like I showed in the common mistakes video, you can trade for gold with some of the trappers. But you need to give them a lot of supplies to do this, which can easily cause you to run low on supplies. So to get more, I recommend selling bamboo. Bamboo is the one resource you'll almost certainly end up with an excess of, especially if you have the Charm of Inari from the Arrow Peak Shrine equipped while exploring to roughly double how much you get. It's also worth mentioning to make sure you remember to check the gift altar in a settlement for free resources after progressing quests. You can quickly see if a gift is available by hovering over a settlement on the map and checking if the gift altar is highlighted gold. But between liberating villages, buying gold from trappers, and snagging gifts, you should be able to upgrade the katana to almost max level around the end of Act 1 or beginning of Act 2. And an upgraded katana makes a huge difference in combat. The other benefit of liberating the villages and farms is that some of them will give you one of the 6 keys for the unbreakable Gosaku mythic tail. The Gosaku armor you get from this quest is one of the better armors in the game, and you can get it early in Act 2 if you get all the keys from liberating the correct farms and villages. But if you want an even better armor for the rest of the game, along with some other great gear and fun abilities, you can head over to the Iki Island DLC area basically right after starting Act 2. Now, Iki Island wasn't out when I first played Ghost, but now that I've been able to experience it, I would highly recommend going here before continuing on with the rest of the main story. I liked clearing the farms and villages to get Gosaku's armor first and then heading straight for Iki. If you're very sensitive to spoilers, then technically going to Iki early does spoil one major plot point and a few minor things, but from what you know from Act 1, the major plot point is very predictable, and you could easily write off what Jin says about it as him bluffing given the situation he's in. And I personally feel the other little spoilers are either not very noticeable or just inconsequential. So if you're cool with that, then you can get yourself some really cool gear and abilities that will make the rest of your playthrough a lot more fun. The main piece of kit we're after is called the Sarugami armor, which both increases the timing window for your perfect parries and dodges and increases their effectiveness. It also increases resolve gains a lot, especially when upgraded. All 3 of these perks are excellent, and you can equip that charm of Mizu no Kami we mentioned earlier to make it even easier to pull off perfect parries and dodges. To get the Sarugami armor, you need to first arrive in Fume's Refuge, which you'll get to pretty quick, and then start the Legend of Black Hand Riku mythic quest by listening to the storyteller. Once you've got the armor, you can pick up another mythic quest down here in the Zasho Bay campsite to get a super unique piece of gear that I don't want to spoil since it would also spoil a new special ability that's a lot of fun. If you want to see what that item is though, you can just check the list of mythic quests in the journal once you arrive on Iki. There are also some very powerful charms you can get on Iki, like the Charm of Versatile Skills, which you'll get once you max out your legend level on Iki. I would actually argue this is the best charm in the entire game because it doubles the effectiveness of all your minor charms as long as they're a different category. The category is indicated by a charm's icon, so it won't boost any charms that have the same icon as it, but it's still super strong. There's also some other really cool ones that give you new abilities with the bow, kunai, and other things. So overall, I really think all the stuff you get from Iki is great to have for the rest of your playthrough, and I would highly recommend going early. After starting Act 2, just head over here to the Drowned Man's Shore to get started with Iki. That being said, if you don't want to go to Iki early, keep in mind once you finish the game, the camps and other activities will get a replay mode, so you can certainly still have fun with the DLC abilities and gear. And there's also New Game Plus, of course. Speaking of which, you should know before you start New Game Plus that it has a new currency called Ghost Flowers, which are used to purchase new cosmetics. For any activity you already completed in your first playthrough, its reward will be changed to ghost flowers in New Game Plus, which means it's smart to complete a lot of things in your first playthrough so you can collect ghost flowers more quickly when you do get to New Game Plus. And keep in mind that even collectible items like cosmetics for your swords will get changed to give you ghost flowers. So I would suggest doing a bunch of easy stuff like that in your first playthrough to set yourself up nicely for New Game Plus. But even if you're not going to do New Game Plus, you can get some cool black and white dyes for your gear if you know where to find them. The white dye merchant is over here in the Act 1 region, and the black dye merchant is right here in the Act 2 region. Of course, there's lots of other cool dyes in the game, but I personally think the black and white ones are some of the cleanest. But regardless of whether you're in New Game Plus or your first playthrough, there's a bunch of settings you're going to want to consider adjusting, like that armor loadout one we mentioned earlier. Another one I really like is Enhanced Guiding Wind. This makes the wind trails much more visible so you can easily tell what direction the wind is blowing. It also seems to make the wind more visible even when you haven't triggered the Guiding Wind. So I actually find I don't need to trigger Guiding Wind as much when I have this setting on. Another quality of life one I really like is switching the flash bomb effect to dark so I don't get totally blinded when the enemies use their flash bombs. You might also like some of the combat related ones, such as projectile indicators, which makes it more obvious when those annoying archers are shooting you from off screen, enhanced combat cues, which makes the red and blue flashes on enemy weapons more prominent, and aim assist if you want a bit of help being accurate with the bow. We mentioned this one in my mistakes video, but switching minigame controls to simplified will make things like the bamboo strikes way easier to complete. As a controller player, I also like changing the camera speed setting to faster as I find the default a bit slow in combat, and it's definitely worth taking a look at the different control scheme options. I much prefer the alternative scheme, which puts light and heavy attack on R1 and R2, as that's what I'm used to in other games. Unfortunately, there's no setting to adjust the time of day or how quickly it happens, and I find nighttime in Ghost to be a little too dark to see things clearly. So if you want to make it daytime, the best way to do that is fast travel a few times to random spots on the map. Each time you fast travel, time advances by a random amount. The amount doesn't seem to be correlated to the distance you travel or anything like that, so you just need to fast travel a few times to get back to daylight. I also find the game likes to get dark and stormy a lot, so if you get tired of that, don't forget you can play the flute to change the weather to something nicer. Now, at the start, I showed you that trick for lighting pampas grass on fire to burn multiple enemies at once, and I have a bunch more cool combat tricks I'm putting together for you in a video I'll link on screen once it's ready. For now, we covered some combat essentials along with a bunch of mistakes you want to avoid in this mistakes video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there in just a second.